today I have for us none other than Peter Gotti, man. Peter Gotti, we're going to the mob boss of the Gambino family. He rest in peace, a head of the Gambino family. So we dipping our feet into the mafia. We got some Foia documents on him. We're gonna definitely dip into it, but before we do it, we have to hit that subscribe button and thumb up the video, as that will get my video out to new and potential subscribers. And as we make our way into this new realm of content with some of these mob bosses and things of that nature, I have to ask that we all, hit that like button and subscribe to show some support to the channel that way. Excuse me, was just repositioning myself as we get started here. All right, now these are FBI documents via our Freedom of Information Act, and we will get started right away. All right, so I'm not sure what particular order these documents are in, but we will read through all of them. All right, and what we know about Peter Gotti, man. He's the father of the Gottis, right? So head of the Gambino, infamous Gambino family, man. And here we got these documents outlining some of this information. So let's look into it. This document seems pretty not a lot on it, just to say the least. It says to Information Resources Division from New York. Some information here. This date of 97 on December 30th, 1997 specifically. Set lead 1 here. All receiving offices as soon as possible clean all 4 tapes of background noise. Note, these tapes will be used to re-up the Title 3 on or about redacted. And we will see redactions just like in our other case reviews in these documents as well. Assistant Attorney General on August 26, 1997 in the Criminal Division, Section Chief Organized Crimes, Section Peter Gotti, ETL, RICO. Action Memorandum. Encloses 1 copy of an affidavit in which Special Agent redacted of the FBI's New York office is the affiant. The memorandum is based upon the content of the accompanying affidavit and seeks the approval from the Department of Justice for the filing of an application supported by the enclosed affidavit for a court order authorizing for a third day period the interception of oral communications occurring redacted. As a result of this investigation, is believed that the oral communication is being used and will continue to be used by redacted and others yet unknown to plan and carry out criminal activities in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. Section 2516, Title 18 U.S.C. Section 1962 ETSEQ RICO, Title 18 U.S.C. Section 892 and 894 Loan Sharking, Title 18 U.S.C. Section 2. It is believed that the enclosed affidavit contains probable cause that through the interception of oral communications and the named principals and others as yet unknown concerning the enumerated offenses, evidence will be obtained therefore justifying the use of electronic devices pursuant to the provisions of the Electronic Communications Privacy Act of 1986. It is therefore requested, based upon the facts set forth in the enclosed affidavit, that your authorization be granted for the filing of the application, supported by the affidavit with the United States District Court for the redacted. All right, and we have a stamp of approval here and some redactions over that and some more miscellaneous information. All right, page 2. What we have here, let's zoom in. All right, page 2, DE, I think this is FBI N.Y. unclassified 0081, I think maybe, or 31 unclass. We'll continue reading. The 3-man committee running the day-to-day operations, redacted, functions as the repository for all funds turned into the Gambino family boss. It is hoped that redacted currently being monitored will show some associations within the family and, although remotely possible, turn up a target for a telephone Title III. Ultimately, a location for a Title III on a big redaction block. All right, FBI HQ will be updated on this situation as it is in progress. All right, so sounds like they were trying to, man, do some business there. Let's get to this next document. Report of the Information Resource Division, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Washington, D.C., 2535. All right. This is for reference. Communication dated December 30th, 1997. Read Peter Gotti, Gambino, family. Specimens received January 6, 1998. Q1. 1 Maxwell C90 audio cassette marked in part tape number 1. Q2. 1 Maxwell C90 audio cassette marked in part tape number 2. Q3. 1 Maxwell C90 audio cassette marked in part tape number 3. 1 Maxwell C90 audio cassette marked in part tape number 4, Q4. All right. Result of examination. 2 electronically enhanced copies, each were made of specimens Q1 through Q4 on separate audio cassettes. In order to obtain maximum intelligibility, the enhanced copies should be played back on high quality cassette recorders. It should be reviewed using high quality headphones. The enhancement examination was conducted by signal processing analyst redacted. The enhanced copies of specimens Q1 and Q2 were forwarded to your office via Federal Express on January 23, 1998. Specimens Q1 through Q4 and the enhanced copies of specimens Q3 and Q4 were forwarded to your office via Federal Express on January 26, 1998. All right. On our next document, we have here some handwritten notes, and it is dated 1/6/98, 10:20 a.m. SA redacted called and told Q1 through 4 came to the academy where is was open. I told redacted I would place Q1 through 4 in a new FD 504 envelope and relayed something open no, hold on, relayed conduit something, I'm not sure, of open envelope, right? IGEFEC box something inside open man envelope were 4 MTC. All right. All right, we have some audio analysis worksheets here. We have a tape cassette format, lists the tape format, the tape track configuration, and the record speed, right? And they have the recorded sides, A and B. Audio characteristics are redacted. Intelligibility is redacted. Frequently response out to 1200 Hz. Speech out to 8 kilohertz. Q1 Maxwell C90 audio cassette marked in part tape 1. I imagine they have this for each one. Okay. So they did some enhancements on these audio tapes. It seems they played back on some different frequencies and they enhanced some copies on side A. They did some things with the tape. Let's see, it says EC flattens frequency, adds treble and clarity, reduces some background noise, and adds gain. Very close listening needed, improves the NF party conversation. And this is another cassette that they do the same thing with. Let's go down. So these documents are probably the documents that came back for this regarding these tapes for Peter Gotti and the Gambino family. Seems they were trying to get some people on some wiretaps. Wow, they even have the FBI, the FedEx documentation in this, man. They give everything for this FBI FOIA request. Definitely, y'all should submit your FOIA request, man. As you can see, you get the full information, man. All right. Specimens for tapes. So yeah, this is the documentation regarding the tapes for Peter Gotti, man, head boss of the Gambino family, man. We getting these exclusive documents, bro. You have to hit that subscribe button. You have to hit that likes up button, man. We're dropping exclusive content. I have another document, so don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. We're back, man. Now we're looking at what seems to be a memorandum. All right, let's check this out, man. As I said, this is all documents regarding the mob boss, Peter Gotti, man. Do your research. If you don't know who that is, research Peter Gotti, John Gotti, research the Gambino family, man. They're still, not active in the mob allegedly and things of that nature, but they do have legal business that I know of. The Gambino marijuana company that they had a strain of cannabis, man. Yo, let's check this paperwork out, man. And rest in peace to Peter Gotti as well. All right, we have a memorandum here, Brooklyn, Queens. Subject, Bergen Hunt and Fish Club. This is under the RICO. Again, writer previously requested surveillance coverage of Gambino LCN soldier Peter Gotti, brother of incarcerated boss John Gotti, while he ran the street and relayed messages for Gotti from MCC, New York. On August 8th, 1986, the log is attached. After departing MCC, Peter Gotti met with two unsubs. Photo attached in the vicinity of Woodhaven Boulevard and 101st Avenue. On September 8th, 1986, Redacted viewed the surveillance photos and identified the short unsub number 1 as redacted and unsub number 2 as redacted, possibly redacted. The following is singular in nature and should not be disseminated outside the FBI, and a big redaction block under that. All right, and we know they love to not love to redact things. They redact things out of the safety for the witnesses and so forth. This is an administrative page and should be serialized separately from the main log. This is a surveillance cover sheet dated August 6th, 1986. So we're getting the surveillance logs for when the FBI was, man, trying to get build a RICO case against the Gottis. This is exclusive, man. Like I was saying, guys, you definitely have to hit that subscribe button and thumb up the video. We don't just do one lane of paperwork, man. We're hitting all lanes, man. So I appreciate y'all for rocking out with me. But thumb up the video if you don't mind. Thanks. All right. Surveillance was conducted in the vicinity of the Metropolitan Correctional Center, Park Row, Pearl, New York, New York, at which time the following observations were noted. Surveillance instituted at the Metropolitan Correctional Center, MCC, Park Row, and Pearl in New York. A black Renault, Renault Alliance bearing New York license plate redacted arrives at MCC and parks across the street. Peter Gotti, redacted, are seen walking into MCC. Peter Gotti, redacted, as a known female and a child are seen exiting MCC and entering the black Renault. This must be a vehicle of one something entry. They then depart the area. The vehicle is observed stopping on 85th Street, just south of 161st Avenue, Howard Beach, New York. The female and the child exit the vehicle. And then we have a big redaction block here. The following is descriptive data regarding redacted. Redacted, we have a name, an AKA, a date of birth, a home address of an individual that is completely redacted. And we're going on to the next page. This is continued from the above. Let's see where we left off. At the vehicle, Bergen Hunt and Fish Club in stands out front. Observe Peter Gotti walking west on 101st Avenue. Observe Peter Gotti on Woodhaven at 101 Avenue talking to two unknown white males. They are described as follows. Unsub number 1, say, can't make that out. Okay, 5'7" to 5'8", heavy set, black curly hair, 40 to 45 years old. Unsub 2, 6'2", tall, 50 to 55 years old, gray hair, slim build, wearing a suit, coat, and tie. Observed unsub on something number 2. Enter in something tan Buick Skylark bearing New York license plates and depart the area. Peter Gotti and unsub number 1 walk west on 101st Avenue. Peter Gotti and unsub number 1 re-enter the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club. So they're monitoring Peter Gotti at this point. These are the actual surveillance documents that the FBI agents submitted, man. Wow, man, this is crazy exclusive too. So let's check this out and go further. SA FBI surveillance information on September 15, 1985. Redacted provided the following information to SA. Source advised that redacted. Oh man. Redacted was interviewed at his place of employment. Redacted, New York, New York. Redacted was advised of the nature of the interview and the identity of the interviewing agents. He provided the following information and it's completely redacted. Boy, these FBI agents don't play with this information, man. They're not letting anything out that should not be out. The vehicle stops at the corner of, this is another continued document, observation document, a continuum of their notes from the FBI agents directly. The vehicle stops at the corner of, is this 89th and 101st Ave, exits the vehicle and an unknown white male enters the vehicle, then departs the area. The vehicle is observed parked in front of 156, is that some 41st, 89th Street, Howard Beach, New York. Peter Gotti departs 156 to 44th, 89th Street with the unknown white male. Depart the area in that vehicle, Renault. Observe the vehicle parked in the parking lot of Columbia Federal Savings Bank at 99th Street and 101st Avenue, Ozone Park, New York, which is Queens. Observe Peter Gotti coming out of the first, what is this? I'm not sure. Bergen Hunt and Fish Club on 101st Ave between 98 and 99th Street, Ozone Park. He then walks to our friend's social club on 101st Avenue at 99th Street. Peter Gotti walks back to and that's the end of that document. But don't go anywhere. I have another document right behind this. Back. This is the third document. Let's take a look. We are looking at this Peter Gotti, man, one of the mob bosses of the Gambino family. It seems what we have here, man. Oh, must I remind us that this is exclusive FBI documentation via Freedom of Information Act. We always must note that, and you can always come to this channel for the official Freedom of Information Act documentation as well as memberships as well. But let's not get into that now. We're looking at this document. This is the Boston Herald. It seems the FBI agents may have photocopied a newspaper article here that outlines some things. We'll briefly read this. The title, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. The title of this article, first off, this is from the BostonHerald.com. The title of the article is Sea of Trouble. Gloucester gambling boat navigates mob ties. The operator of a Gloucester casino gambling boat initially launches the business last year using a firm controlled by a mafia associate of the late John Gotti. And that goes into detail, man. So, man, they were documenting all these guys' moves, it seems like. This is another article titled Managing to Stay Afloat, Casino Owner in Business, Despite Many Money Questions. Wow, so they were really on these guys, man. And let's read a little bit of this. He has maintained a close personal business relationship with a reputed associate of the Gambino crime family while simultaneously rubbing elbows with Republican power brokers in Washington, D.C. and in Massachusetts, has convinced a pair of well-heeled biomedical executives to bankroll his latest venture. And they're referring to an Adam R. Keaton, the controversial operator of a casino boat in Gloucester, has managed to live in two disparate worlds for more than a decade, excuse me. Wow, man, these guys were definitely heavily monitored here. Excuse my bumbling on those words there, man. Oh, man, sometimes I get a little ahead of myself and excited on these documents. Look at all of this information that this newspaper is documenting. I mean, wow. All right, we have another document here. This is a Federal Bureau of Investigation document. This is the precedence is a routine. Date is 2002 of November, the day of 20th, to Miami from Miami. Okay, we have approved by redactions, drafted by redactions. Title is redacted, although they let us know that this is regarding the Gambino crime family. Synopsis: update concerning caption investigation. Details: on November 18th, 2002, SA redacted and redacted met with the AUSA redacted to discuss the direction of the caption investigation. SA redacted explained that because of the relationship and lack of cooperation with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department and the closure of a former redacted informant who redacted at the time of Gus Bolus' death, that the investigation has not progressed at a level originally anticipated. It was further explained to AAUSA redacted by SA redacted that after ASAC redacted notified the Fort Lauderdale Police Department that a redacted non-testifying informant was involved with redacted, SA redacted was tasked with setting up an interview between the informant and FLPD homicide detectives, redacted and redacted, which was conducted on April 3rd, 2002. SA redacted informed AUSA redacted that he had spoken to the informant before the interview and had scheduled to meet with him or her after the interview with redacted and redacted. Redacted explained that after the interview, he spoke with the informant by telephone, who stated that he or she would not be able to meet because he or she had to meet with redacted. SA Redacted was concerned because after the informant returned to the Redacted division, it was learned through SSA Redacted that the informant had been closed down and that Redacted no longer spoke to the informant. It was expressed to AUSA Redacted that it was very odd that the informant was closed down and that the informant could have been a tremendous help in the investigation as redacted. AUSA Redacted expressed his concern that a list of individuals SA Redacted plans to interview may give conflicting information from interviews conducted by the FLPD. AUSA Redacted thought it would be best to work with the FLPD and made plans to call the state attorney handling the Bullis murder for the FLPD. Prior to talking to the AUSA Redacted regarding the aforementioned information, AUSA Redacted, who took himself off the Bullis investigation because of issues with other agents on the C9 squad, discussed information he received from the FLPD. AUSA Redacted stated that he had spoken with someone at the FLPD who had mentioned an FBI top echelon informant who was involved with the Bullis situation. AUSA Redacted also stated that he was going to make some calls to the FLPD to attempt to obtain information which may be a help to the federal investigation. It was further discussed that a joint effort between the FBI and the FLPD would be the best way to successfully pursue the caption investigation regardless of the past relationship. All right. And we have another, seems to be email document, potentially, or a letter. This is an update for a caption case. The information in this EC was originally obtained during the calendar year of 2001. On February 6, 2001, shortly after leaving his office in the Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Gus Bolus was murdered by a gunman. Bolus was recently involved in the sale of the Sun Cruise Casinos LLC to Redacted. Prior to the murder of Bolus, there had been several arguments between Redacted and Bolus regarding the sale and operation of the Sun Cruise casinos. Bolus and his attorneys at the law firm of Hunton and Williams were considering taking back ownership of Sun Cruise. Shortly after the murder of Bullis, Hunton and Williams attorneys and investigators met with SSA, Redacted, and several other agents assigned to OC1 Squad because they felt that organized crime may have been involved in the death of Gus Bolus. Information provided indicated Redacted may have been protected or involved with members of the Gambino LCN crime family out of New York. Hunton and Williams advised that they had provided the same information they found, which backed their reasoning for organized crime involvement, to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. Hunton and Williams provided this information to the FBI for consideration of any federal violation. On several occasions during the time period of February and May 2001, SSA Redacted contacted Fort Lauderdale Police Department FLPD, Sergeant Redacted and Captain Redacted, Intelligence Unit and Homicide Detectives Redacted and Redacted to offer the assistance of the FBI in this investigation. All these attempts were declined by the homicide detectives handling the investigation. During this same time period, the investigators from Hunton and Williams continued to contact the FBI and provide information to the FBI supporting their belief that the organized crime was involved with the murder of Bullis. SSA Redacted again contacted FLPD Sergeant, who set up a meeting with the homicide detectives and Sergeant Redacted and Detective Redacted at the FLPD to discuss this matter. On May 2nd, 2001, SSA Redacted met with FLPD and was advised by detectives at this time there was limited information and few leads that they did not feel organized crime was involved in the murder. At the conclusion of the meeting, SSA Redacted advised if the FBI's assistance was not needed, then the FBI would not be initiating a case until FLPD or the FBI revealed specific evidence to support the FBI's involvement. On May 3rd, 2001, Sergeant Redacted contacted SSA Redacted to apologize and advised the homicide detectives and Sergeant Redacted were not candid in the meeting and withheld information which they knew about the investigation. Sergeant Redacted set up a follow-up meeting with Sergeant Redacted on May 10th, 2001. At this meeting, present with Sergeant Redacted, and SSA Redacted, Sergeant Redacted explained the detectives withheld information due to the past experiences with the FBI, where they felt the FBI was not forthright with the FLPD and the FBI could not be trusted. Sergeant Redacted went on to advise SSA of the details of the investigation, but felt the evidence showed this is a local matter. Again, SSA Redacted offered the assistance of the FBI should they reveal any evidence supporting the FBI's assistance in this matter. On August 2nd, 2001, SA Redacted and SSA Redacted again met with investigators of Hunton and Williams law firm. The investigators provided a detailed chronological outline of their investigation, which they had also provided to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. The investigators were concerned that the Fort Lauderdale investigation into the Bullis murder was not proceeding well, and again asserted their belief that there may be a traditional organized crime connection to the murder. There may be. After reviewing the documentation provided by the investigators for Hunton and Williams, a case was opened and assigned to OC1 SA Redacted on August 7, 2001. On August 8, 2001, SA Redacted met with AUSAs Redacted and Redacted to discuss the investigation and possibility of the organized Crime Strike Force opening their investigation. AUSA Redacted originally expressed concerns whether or not the strike force would be able to obtain a case because of the involvement in possible conflicts involving Hunton and Williams law firm. Redacted eventually approved his office opening an investigation and assigned AUSAs Redacted and Redacted. On August 10th, 2001 at approximately 2:30 p.m., SA Redacted received a call from Redacted, who is leading the Fort Lauderdale Police Department investigation into the Bullis murder. Redacted asked SA Redacted if the FBI was going to start investigating that Bullis thing. SA Redacted informed Redacted that the FBI now had an open investigation and informed him that it would benefit both agencies if they worked together. SA Redacted also further informed Redacted that he had plans to call FLPD Sergeant Redacted to discuss the two agencies' working together. Detective Redacted replied that he didn't know anything about that. S.A. Redacted left a voicemail message with Sergeant Redacted discussing the possibility of the FBI and FLPD working together on the investigation and requested he return the call. On the same day, there were articles in both the Sun Centennial and the Miami Herald regarding the Bullis murder, C enclosures, which we read above. Both articles provided in-depth details regarding payments made to individuals involved in the investigation, as well as other detailed information of the investigation to include a composite of the possible shooter. All the information outlined in the articles closely followed the exact information provided to the FLPD and the FBI by Hunton and Williams investigators, with the exception of the composite. S.A. Redacted received a telephone call from Sergeant Redacted on August 12, 2001. S.A. Redacted expressed his desire to work together on the Bullis investigation and that it would benefit both agencies. Sergeant Redacted stated that it was his understanding that the FBI was only interested in a possible organized crime link and not the entire investigation. Sergeant Redacted also stated that his department was going to make an arrest within a couple of days and indicated that he was not interested in working with the FBI. Sergeant Redacted advised SSA Redacted that his department has been working with this matter, the state's attorney's office, and felt that this murder investigation should remain at the local level instead of going into the federal system. It should also be noted that AUSA expressed that he had tried to call State Attorney Redacted on several occasions to discuss working the investigation jointly. AUSA Redacted planned was to have a meeting with all parties involved to coordinate a joint investigation. AUSA Redacted also advised that after finally talking with Redacted, had lied to him about some aspect of the investigation and that it was clear that he did not want the FBI involved. FLPD shortly thereafter released to the press that Redacted was a suspect in the murder of Bullis. News Channel 10 had the information about Redacted on a segment of their evening news report, which consisted of a news crew following Redacted around Miami, asking her questions about Redacted being a suspect. No arrests have been made as of this date. Prior to any conversation with the FLPD concerning the Bullis murder, Detective Redacted made it known on the television program America's Most Wanted that there was absolutely no organized crime involvement in the Bullis murder. Only after finding out that the FBI was interested in the investigation did news articles appear in the press and possible organized crime links. It should be noted that S.A. Redacted, on more than one occasion after the August 12, 2001 conversation with Detective Redacted, expressed to AUSA Redacted that he hoped that the FBI and FLPD could somehow work the Bullis investigation together. AUSA Redacted, who is a personal friend of State Prosecutor Redacted and Sergeant Redacted, indicated FLPD does not want to work with the FBI. On December 12, 2001, SSA Redacted contacted Sergeant Redacted to request copies of a video that FLPD homicide obtained from a local fast food restaurant, which may contain video of Redacted. SA Redacted attempted to obtain a copy directly from the restaurant. However, the manager stated FLPD had the only copy. Sergeant Redacted will advise if he is successful in obtaining a copy of this tape from Sergeant Redacted and the homicide detectives for the FLPD. Since the opening of this caption investigation, Miami has obtained numerous telephone records, hotel records, and travel records relating to subjects of this investigation. In addition, a high-level Redacted informant was interviewed by SA Redacted and SSA Redacted. The informant has detailed knowledge of the subjects of the investigation and is in a position to provide additional information if requested to do so. It is anticipated that several interviews of key witnesses will be conducted in the very near future, and subpoenas will be served in order to obtain additional information. All right, and we have another document here. On February 6, 2001, Gus Bullis, a South Florida businessman and owner of Sun Cruises Casino, was murdered in Fort Lauderdale while driving his car from Sun Cruise Casino's business offices. At the time of his death, Bullis was in the process of selling Sun Cruises Casino, but had a dispute with the potential buyers and was in a heated legal dispute trying to regain control of the company. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department is conducting a state level murder investigation independent of the Miami FBI investigation. As the investigation began, it was learned that an FBI redacted top echelon TE informant redacted. It was also learned that redacted is the main suspect in the Fort Lauderdale Police Department murder investigation. Redacted brags about being redacted. It was well known that Bolus was involved in several business transactions, to include the sale of some cruise casinos to a consortium of partners, which included Redacted, Washington, D.C. lobbyist Redacted, and Redacted. Redacted and his partners agreed to purchase 90% of Sun Cruise casinos for $147 million. Redacted and his partners essentially took over operations of Sun Cruise casinos with the consent of Bullis, who actually financed the loans to the partners. Almost immediately, Redacted and his partners stopped paying the Sun Cruise vendors. It was also learned that Redacted was having the slot machines on the casino boats emptied daily when under Bullis they were only required to be emptied once a week. A review of Sun Cruise casino records also disclosed that Redacted was using Sun Cruise company funds to pay personal expenses and generated checks to friends and or associates who would in turn deposit the money back into bank accounts belonging to Redacted. Court records and media coverage show that the deal for Sun Cruise casinos soared because, according to Bullis, Redacted and his partners were not making loan payments and defaulted on a promissory note. Bullis believed that Redacted and his partners were bankrupting the company, and he was determined to seize control of Sun Cruise casinos back from Redacted and his partners through legal proceedings. Information provided by management personnel of the Gus K. Bullis estate said that just prior to Bullis being murdered, Redacted was trying to get Bullis to agree to refinance the loan packages that were taken out at the time of the initial purchase of Sun Cruise casinos. Redacted wanted to refinance, and then Sun Cruise casinos would get the money directly from the new finance company. In the past, the money actually went to Bullis. Bullis would not agree to have the deal refinanced. Redacted provided information in a disposition that he had hired bodyguards just prior to the death of Bullis. According to Redacted, he felt that Bullis was a threat to him because of the ongoing legal battle pertaining to Sun Cruise LLC. Redacted also stated that on one occasion, Bullis had physically attacked him and believed that Bullis attempted to hire people to kill him. Just after the death of Bullis, Redacted, acting as Sun Cruise Casino's company executive, made two payments to Redacted, is owned by Redacted, who sources say brags about being redacted. One payment was made on February 7, 2001, the day after Redacted was murdered, in the amount of $5,000. The second payment was made on February 12, 2001, in the amount of $25,000. Documents also indicate that Redacted, the TE, was interviewed by Redacted in a legal deposition, stated that Redacted. Further documentation dated Redacted has also been obtained showing written communication from TE to Redacted telling Redacted. The TE was interviewed by Miami FBI agents on Redacted. It has since been learned that the information provided to agents at that time is conflicting with recent information obtained from a witness close to the Sun Cruise Casino's investigation. SA Redacted was informed on January 16, 2002 by Redacted that the TE was being closed. On March 12, 2002, a search was completed by FBI Redacted in all appropriate files to provide Miami with any reported information relating to TE as subjects of the investigation. Miami received 6 FD 302s dated April 17th, August 14th, August 23rd, November 15th, and December 20th, 2001. On February 5th, 2003, the witness close to the Sun Cruise Casino's investigation was interviewed by SA Redacted and SA Redacted via a proffer session. Also present at the proffer session were Assistants United States Attorneys Redacted, and the witness's attorney. The witness, who does not know that mentioned TE is or has been an informant of the FBI, stated during the proffer session that Redacted. The witness also stated in his or her proffer that redacted. In addition to the above mentioned information, SA Redacted was contacted by Drug Enforcement Administration agent who had recently obtained information relating to the Bolus murder from two different independent sources. A preliminary discussion relating to the information collaborates some information already known and details which were not known. The information seems very credible on the surface, and interviews are being coordinated at this time with each source of the information. All right. And this one says we have it is requested that SA Redacted be added as a co-case agent in the captured investigation. SA Redacted will be able to provide assistance in the absence of SA Redacted, who is acting as the C9 supervisory special agent. All right. Let's see what we got here on this document. The date of this transcription is January 20th, 2003. On January 15th and February 5th, 2003, redacted, protect identity. Date of birth redacted, social security number redacted, was interviewed at the United States Attorney's Office located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Present at the interview was Miami FBI special agents, redacted and redacted. Present for portions of the interview were SAs, redacted and redacted. Also present were Assistant United States Attorney, redacted and redacted, as well as redacted attorney, redacted. After the interviewing agents identified themselves and explained the reason for the interview, Redacted voluntarily provided the following information. Redacted was asked by the interviewing agents to give some background into his knowledge of Redacted. Redacted stated that Redacted explained. Redacted was asked. Redacted was then asked by interviewing agents. Redacted stated that Redacted, when interviewing agents asked, Redacted was further asked, Redacted stated that, Redacted was shown, stated that, Redacted also stated that, Redacted was then asked, Redacted stated that, Redacted elaborated that, Redacted further stated that, Redacted. And we have a bunch of redactions here. Was shown photographs of individuals he identified, Redacted. Interviewed special agents, stated that, redacted. Peter Gotti, redacted. Then stated that, redacted. Redacted was then asked by interviewing agents, redacted. According to redacted, stated that, redacted. So Peter Gotti's name is mentioned right there. According to redacted, further explained that the car he was driving was redacted. Was then asked if there was a face-to-face meeting, redacted. Stated that, redacted. Redacted stated that, redacted. Peter Gotti, again, redacted, was then asked again by the interviewing agents why. All right. Was asked again why. This is a full-on conversation. I'm just trying to make sense of some things that are not redacted. Was asked to provide any further information, redacted, potentially about Peter Gotti, redacted, Gotti, redacted. Also stated that Gotti. In addition, redacted stated that Gotti. So here's the links to Gotti to this whole thing. The interview was terminated at this time, and interviewing agents informed Redacted that they would contact him through his attorney in the near future. All right, and they're adding some more agents to the case. Here we have Redacted, born on Redacted, residing at. All right, he was interviewed. All right, and he provides the following information. Redacted was advised by the interviewing agents that the Federal Bureau of Investigation was aware of information that Redacted life may be in danger. Redacted could not explain why anyone would want to kill him and had never received any threats to his life. Redacted was never given a reason to believe that Redacted nor Redacted were angry with him or wanted to harm him. Redacted stated that he did not have any knowledge. Redacted was presently residing at the aforementioned address in Redacted with his friends Redacted. The Redacted know Redacted from the Redacted area but do not have contact with him. Redacted appreciated being made aware of the possible threats to his life but did not feel that he could provide any information relevant to those threats. Redacted felt confident. Redacted. The following information was obtained through observation. Redacted operated a redacted. Right. And we have an analysis of some cell phone records from January 23rd to February 22nd, 2001. Details. Redacted has admitted in proffer sessions with the United States Attorney. Redacted cellular telephone records were reviewed for the period of January 23rd to February 22nd, 2001 to identify contact between redacted and redacted, all redacted area numbers. The following information was contained in the aforementioned telephone records. Okay, this is a subpoena for the telephone records. And they served somebody, interviewed somebody at their place of employment. This was a female. All right, we have another. This is routine Federal Bureau of Investigation precedence document regarding this case for the Gambino crime family. Synopsis: lead set for Tampa to identify, contact, and interview an unidentified security guard employed by Paradise of Port Richey, who was kidnapped in approximately December of 2000. Enclosure: 5 FD747 photo spread folders containing photographs of individuals affiliated with Caption Matter. Details: Caption Matter involves the investigation of Gambino crime family influence on the operations of Sun Cruz Casinos LLC. Following the purchase of the Sun Cruz Casinos in September 2000 from the previous owner, Constantinos Gus Boulis. Boulis was murdered in February of 2001, and source information and investigation indicates the murder was conducted at the direction of the Gambino crime family. Reference serial contains an interview conducted by Tampa of Redacted indicated Redacted was having business disagreements with the new owners of Sun Cruz Casinos over assets of corporation. In approximately December 2000, Redacted, in preparation of the return of the Sun Cruise ships to the new owners, rented dock space and docked the Sun Cruise ships at Fletcher's Dredgery Company in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Redacted hired a guard to guard the vessel. On the same day that Redacted advised the attorney for Sun Cruise LLC via a fax letter of the location of the ships, 8 of Redacted men showed up and kidnapped the guard that he had hired. The men then searched the ships. Following the guard's release, a police report was filed with the Tarpon Springs Police Department. Attached to that enclosure are 5 FD747 photo spread folders containing photographs of employees and associates of Redacted. Miami requests Tampa identify, locate, and interview the security guard hired by Redacted who was kidnapped. During the interview, Miami requests Tampa show the enclosed photo spreads to the security guard to attempt to identify any of the individuals involved in the referenced crime. Miami further requests Tampa obtain and forward a copy of Tarpon Springs Police Department investigation of referenced crime. FD747 photo spread folder marked number 1 contains a photograph of Redacted in position 1 and so forth, other marked individuals and positions. Miami appreciates the assistance of Tampa in this matter, so they want the Tampa Police, FBI, police, to identify these people. All right, and we have set lead 1 action. We have identify and locate the security guard hired by Redacted who was kidnapped. Action 2, obtain a copy of the reports filed by the Tarpon Springs Police Department relating to the kidnapping of the security guard at Fletcher's Dredgers Company in Tarpon Springs, Florida in approximately December of 2000. Redacted, after being advised of the identity of the interviewing agent, was sent via facsimile a federal grand jury subpoena requiring the Redacted. Redacted, after receiving the subpoena, indicated he would comply with the subpoena. On May 9, 2003, Redacted protect identity, telephone numbers redacted, All right. After being advised of the identities of the interviewing agents, Redacted provided the following information. On April 28, 2003, Redacted accompanied Redacted. Redacted was asked, Redacted Gun Depot, 16268 Alton Road, Miami Beach, Florida. Telephone number redacted. Was interviewed at his place of business. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms agent redacted assisted in the conduct of the interview. After being advised of the identity of the interviewing agents and the nature of the interview, Redacted provided the following information. Redacted, with the assistance of Redacted provided the following records relating to the gun sales dating back to year 2000 made to Redacted and Redacted. The redacted firearms listed were sold to Redacted. The review sales records for Gun Depot revealed documents regarding a firearm purchased by Redacted, born on Redacted with a social security number Redacted, residing at Redacted, height and weight Redacted, purchased Redacted. Redacted advised Redacted was the wife of Redacted, stated he knows Redacted but has not seen or spoken to him in approximately Redacted years. Redacted had been to the store on several occasions but had never purchased anything. Redacted heard that Redacted was being investigated regarding the murder of Gus Bolus, but did not know any details. Redacted and Redacted were separately shown photographic lineups of individuals associated with Redacted each identified the photograph mark 6 on page 5 as an individual known as Redacted. Redacted advised that Redacted had been to the store on several occasions and once purchased a holster for a handgun. The photographic lineups were placed in an FD 340 envelope for record. Copies of documents relating to the sale of the firearms mentioned above were obtained and placed in the FD 340 envelope for record. Then we have a document here from the Sun Cruz Lenders Files lawsuit, uh, which states a lot of information about that lawsuit. Definitely feel free to zoom in and pause the video to read that article. All right, we have some attached documents here. Bolus murder detailed, offered, Broward. So the mob was allegedly in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. Woman claims to have knowledge about ambush murder of Bolus, business Bolus. Wow. Like I said, feel free to pause these articles, man. Sun Cruz players battle for control. In suit, Sun Cruz blames woes on lenders. On June 30th, 2003, a facsimile was received at the United States Attorney's Office, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, from redacted attorney at law, Redacted. The facsimile was a two-page confidential proffer made by Redacted, who was presently incarcerated at the Redacted. A copy of the two-page facsimile letter was placed Redacted in an FD 340 envelope for record. Redacted was born on Redacted, residing at Redacted, was interviewed. After being advised the identity of the interviewing agents and the nature of the interview, Redacted provided the following information. Redacted telephonically contacted Redacted on Redacted had not had contact with Redacted for approximately Redacted. Redacted began the conversation by making small talk, exchanging information about each other's families. Redacted then told Redacted that he had been served with a lawsuit by Redacted. Redacted then stated, "You know that obligation you have. Well, I've been paying that for you and we need to settle up." Redacted inquired as to what obligation. Redacted told Redacted that Redacted owes Redacted. Redacted did not specifically mention over the telephone as to the source of the debt, but it made it clear to Redacted that the debt was which Redacted had previously told Redacted was owed to Peter Gotti. Redacted stated that his daughter was getting married and he needed the money. Redacted told Redacted he did not have the money and he didn't feel that he owed any money. Redacted advised he was Redacted. During the telephone call, Redacted also told Redacted he had no contact with that guy, meaning Redacted. Redacted related to Redacted that he thought it was best that he and Redacted not have any contact because of Redacted. Redacted advised Redacted had told him in previous conversations that Redacted had met with Peter Gotti shortly after Gotti's most recent arrest by federal authorities. During the meeting, Gotti pushed Redacted for the money that was owed to him from Redacted. Redacted has had no contact with Redacted since the summer of Redacted. Okay, and we have caption matter is an investigation of Gambino family influence in the operations of the gambling cruise ship business Sun Cruise Casino LLC. Request copies of the following serials, referencing redacted, redacted, and redacted. Right, requesting more serials, requesting more serial numbers. Attached are original and one copy of the interviews conducted on March 28, 1992 of Redacted and Redacted. Also attached are various DMV and criminal history checks, re-redacted and redacted. Redacted was interviewed about statement made to Redacted regarding him, Redacted, going to jail today. Redacted was advised that he would not be permitted into the Gotti trial courtroom, and this was relayed to the court officers on duty and also to the Deputy U.S. Marshal, Redacted, who is in charge of Gotti trial courtroom security. A review of FOIMS for New York, Newark, and Philadelphia divisions on March 29, 1992 by the writer failed to locate an identifiable listing for Redacted, Redacted, or Redacted. And we have some handwriting here. All right, on-site supervisor, court security officer, United States Courthouse, Eastern District of New York, in Brooklyn, was interviewed regarding a conversation with the father and friend of Redacted on March 28, 1992, in the lobby of the courthouse. Redacted was aware of the identity of the interviewing agent and provided the following information. Redacted stated that at approximately 12:15 p.m., he was on duty by the X-ray machine in the lobby of the courthouse. A person who identified himself as the father of Redacted, along with a friend of the father, entered the courthouse lobby and advised Redacted that they wanted to see Redacted. The father, along with his friend, stated that if Redacted was not there, to ask to see Redacted, the marshal. Redacted stated that the father had a slip of white paper which contained the writing, in essence, fourth floor, Redacted, the marshal. Conversation with Redacted father. Redacted related that the father stated he needed to pick up his car keys because his son was going away today. The father further related that he has to get the keys because his son is on trial. Redacted inquired, "What trial?" And the father responded, "He's one of the guys on the Gotti trial." Redacted stated he continued the dialogue and inquired of the father if his son was in trouble, and the father replied, "Yes, he's going to jail today." The father described his son, Redacted, as Redacted. Upon the description being furnished, Redacted, another court security officer, went to the fourth floor and located Redacted. Redacted advised that during the lunch break for the trial, Redacted introduced Redacted to his father and father's friend, this occurring in the lobby of the building. Redacted stated that a friend of Redacted was observed in the lobby of the courthouse this morning with a banner with an inscription regarding Gotti. This person, a female, was waiting in the area set aside in the lobby for passes to see the Gotti trial. Redacted described Redacted father as a Redacted wearing a leather jacket and black hat. He described the father's friend as a Redacted wearing a black jacket and baseball cap. Redacted was interviewed by Supervisory Special Agent Redacted regarding a statement made by his father to a court security officer this day about him, Redacted, going to jail today. Prior to interview, Redacted was displayed the credentials of SSA. Redacted and Redacted provided the following information. Redacted was interviewed in the offices of the U.S. Marshal Service main floor of the U.S. Courthouse in Brooklyn, New York. Present throughout this interview was Deputy U.S. Marshal Redacted. Redacted was asked why his father would make a statement about him going to jail today, and Freer stated that earlier today he was stopped for speeding and didn't have the registration for the vehicle. In conversation with his father, he stated that the cop told him that if he gets stopped again, he could go to jail. Redacted was asked for identification and inquired if he was under arrest. SSA Redacted advised Redacted that he was not and was just being questions about the statement, and he was free to go at any time, but would not be allowed to go into the Gotti trial courtroom until this matter about going to jail was resolved. Redacted then produced a summons from 1990 reflecting some information to his identity. SSA Redacted inquired if he had a driver's license and/or identification with a photo, and Redacted stated his wallet was stolen about a week ago and theft reported to the 70th Precinct in Brooklyn, New York. Redacted produced a registration for Redacted plate listed to Redacted, stated that Redacted is his stepfather and the person who came to the courthouse earlier today. Redacted requested to contact his attorney before he answered any more questions. Redacted advised he was calling Redacted on Court Street, Brooklyn, New York. Redacted, while on the phone, inquired if agent wanted to go to office of his attorney to continue interview and was advised by interviewing agent that the attorney could come to the courthouse to continue the interview, which Redacted advised Redacted refused to do. Redacted refused to be questioned further about the statement going to jail and was again advised he would be refused entry into the Gotti courtroom to protect the integrity of the judicial process. The following description of Redacted was obtained through observation and interview. Redacted. Characteristics redacted. Girlfriend redacted. Arrest record redacted. And that takes us down to the end. If you enjoyed that, definitely hit the subscribe button because we do drop more and more cases as every day goes. As they come in, I review them and then I drop them. I appreciate all y'all for listening to this one. Please hit that like button and thumb up the video. Feel free to go back and rewatch this one. I know it was a good one, man. Peace. Thanks.